this module really started to get very powerful in terms of what we can do with SQL injection. So let's just recap on some of the most important things we covered. And one of the first ones was establishing what sort of rights the account actually has on the target system. Is it just data reader? Data writer? Do we have DBO? So figuring out what you're going to be able to run as an attacker is a very important first step. Of course, the other thing was actually looking at other databases that you can attack. Why limit yourself to just the one the web application is talking to? Particularly when that login account has excessive rights. You may find there's nothing stopping you from accessing all sorts of other, possibly even non-related, databases on the same system. Now, if you can't access those other databases directly, you may just be able to remotely create a new SQL login. If you can remotely create that login and then escalate the privilege into a role such as sysadmin, that could make things significantly easier in terms of the way you traverse around that database. You just remotely connect to it. If, of course, you are actually able to remotely connect from a public network segment. Now, you don't always need to create a SQL login, because remember, you could actually extract it from the hash. So you may well find that you can use that pwd compare function to enumerate through common passwords and see if there are any logins in the database that use it. Once you have that, then there's another attack vector where you may just be able to come into the database directly via that login. Now, regardless of how you get into the system, exfiltration via open row set can be very powerful. And this is a great way of pumping out large volumes of data very quickly. As I said in that clip though, this is not enabled by default in modern versions of SQL Server. And that's a good thing, the secure by default position. So do establish the version of the database server as well, and you'll have a better idea as to whether or not you're going to be able to execute this kind of attack. Of course, that doesn't mean that someone hasn't just manually enabled the feature anyway, and we do obviously often see people configuring systems insecurely like this, but certainly this is one very powerful attack. Another very powerful one, possibly even the most powerful thing you can do as SQL injection, is executing system commands. So once you can run XP command shell, the options open up extensively. And inevitably, as an attacker, you're going to be doing a lot more than just pinging like we did in the example before. Now you're going to have access to all sorts of other resources on the target machine, as well as being able to start doing things like network reconnaissance and looking at the other machines in the environment. Having this command shell is an enormously powerful attack. And as I've said a number of times in this module, it just goes so far beyond merely accessing data in the database server. So this is a really great way to wrap up the topic on advanced SQL injection concepts. And nothing demonstrates the power of SQL injection more than being able to run whatever command you'd like in the target environment.